some of the grumpiest people in the world
The grumpiest
are sound guys. And the last thing that they want, especially when, big tours like that are touring with their own front of house, they're expecting to not work that
to
day.
literally not do anything.
Yeah, they're expecting, oh shit, I ain't got to do nothing. And then, there's a bunch of openers with wants and needs, and they don't like that shit.
Welcome to The Loadout. I'm your host, Ashanti Abdullah. And each week, we take you behind the scenes of the live music industry. From touring tips and industry insights to candid conversations with artists, managers, and music professionals, we uncover the stories and strategies that make live performances unforgettable. Whether you're an artist, a tour manager, or just a live music enthusiast, this podcast is your backstage pass to the world of touring and live events. Today, we're excited to have the talented rapper and producer, Grieves. Known for his deeply personal lyrics and unique blend of hip-hop and soul, Grieves has made a significant impact in the music scene with albums like Together Apart and Winter and the Wolves. With his signing to Rhymesayers Entertainment and extensive touring experience, Grieves brings a wealth of knowledge about the industry. Join us as we explore his journey, creative process, and behind-the-scenes insights. Let's get started. Yo, Grieves.
Yes, sir.
What it do, my big baby boy?
I'm chilling, man.
It's been a minute since we've seen each other, and by minute I mean like some months.
Yeah, I mean we got to catch up in Denver, which was really nice, but also that was like the smallest. That green room was the size of a bus bathroom.
Not only that, but like you have one of those fan bases where everybody wants to be with you at all times.
Yes,
which I still haven't quite figured out yet. And it may be the mustache. It might be the. It's buffness.
Definitely the mustache, and I give really good Christmas gifts. So
that's what's up.
They stay coming out for your boy.
That's what's up. So yeah, I mean, let's just get into it. The first thing I really wanted to talk to you about is like, what's your early life like, and what kind of drew you to music? Like, how'd you end up in this world?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably 100 different answers to that question depending on the day, right?
Right.
But if I had to like look at kind of like a linear path through all of this, like I feel like my relationship with music as I was younger was relatively normal. Especially being on the business side for so long, like music connects with people, especially at that younger age, because it helps define moments in their life.
Mm-hmm.
Be it you're not understanding as a child, like my son's out here bumping Casper Baby Pants. He has no idea that he's like developing something right now, But I didn't have that kind of music. I didn't have kids' music. My dad, he played the records that he had, which, I remember being like super young. I don't know the age, but it was like preschool. Kindergarten, bumping the Miami Vice soundtrack and stuff like that. We had a lot of BB King, a lot of blues, a lot of soul in our house, a lot of jazz. We were in Chicago. My dad's from the Bronx, and then my mom liked pop music. This was late 80s, early 90s. We got Wilson Phillips up in this bitch. We got Mariah Carey. My mom liked a lot of like female driven pop artists. Oh, and she loved Phil Collins,
which is dope.
That lady loved Phil Collins. I feel like she would leave the husband and children on Christmas morning for Phil Collins. And Michael Bolton, dude. Michael, if she could get tag team.
There's two.
Yeah, we started off on a strong foot with my mom getting tag team. Mama, I love you.
There's two people that united white and black households back in the day. One of them was Michael Bolton.
Oh yeah,
and the other one was Kenny G. Like that was in every household.
And Michael Bolton kind of just looked like a buff Kenny G. He just looked like a buff ass Kenny G, dude.
For sure, that both of them they were definitely in both households for sure.
Plus, if you weren't looking at the motherfucker, you probably didn't know that Michael Bolton was white.
Nah.
Because he had the
yeah. I mean, you really had to know. You know what I mean? That reminds me. You know who loves Michael Bolton? DJ Quick.
DJ Quick. Yeah, that actually makes sense.
I was in the fucking car with DJ Quick, and he made, well, long story, but I ended up driving him around in his security and all that in San Francisco, just on some homie shit.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yo, I want to go buy the Painted Ladies. I ain't never seen them." And then he just put on, because he had control of the aux. He put on Michael Bolton, and
That's his pregame.
The entire car sang I'm talking about, these are hardcore Bloods, bro. Like, everyone was just singing Michael Bolton the entire time,
dude.
bro.
It's a damn shame that was not caught on camera and then
actually
delivered to Michael Bolton's camp.
I do actually have video of that, believe it or not.
Dude.
And you know who has better video of it is whatever. I won't get into that. One of the homies.
Can you imagine Michael Bolton posting on his Instagram like, "Shout out my blood family"?
I actually can, bro. Michael Bolton's a good fucking. He's a good what do you call it? He's a good sport, bro. I've seen him do some crazy shit.
That'd be amazing. Yeah. All right. This has been spoken into fruition. Michael Bolton's fucking banging out with the Bloods in 2025. Let's go.
That's what's up. Who were like your biggest influences, if you had to?
For me, like, okay, so there's all that, right? There's like what my parents provided, right? And there's the stuff that I gravitated to. I really liked Carole King too, because I thought the songwriting was really good. It was like an emotional connection to stuff I didn't truly understand, but it was like, oh, this feels good. Mm-hmm. And, we were also pushed, like, my dad loved like Bob Dylan and stuff like that. But as a kid, you're not really taken to that. That's like, that's not what you're trying to hear when you're a kid, Right. So as an adult, or not as an adult, but as like a teenager, I found myself listening to music that my peers were listening to. So I got into the heavier stuff. I got into punk. I got into metal. But I always, like, as the homies gravitated to things that sounded more like noise, I kind of stuck in this realm where it was like, I still really like Metallica. I really like those like really melodic breakouts. I love the instrumental songs like Orion on Master of Puppets. I love NoFX for that very reason. I would say still to this day, they're probably like Desert Island Band, because they were able to keep, for me at that time, it was like edgy, relatable, felt cool. You could be bumping that shit at the skate park and no one's gonna call you a bitch. But also at the same time, it was melodic and well thought out music, beyond its message, which is something that resonated with me further on to my career. Was like, yeah, the message is something that is most likely going to change because of who you are, right? We talk about different things, and we are, as a species, always evolving. So, we might feel differently about something in 5 years. That's just the way it is. So messages kind of, they change. Core values are important, but for me, the relationship with, can the music do the talking instead of the message? Like, can you feel whatever you need to feel from this music? And can I say whatever I need to say over it, and have those things exist with each other, but also not necessarily define that song? Like, I don't really sit down to write a song about something. I sit down to write a song like, oh, this is how I feel when I hear this. So those lyrics can also be slightly open to interpretation based on how the listener feels to the melodic arrangement of the song.
I mean, that's called art.
Yeah, straight up. It's just, when you get into hip hop and stuff, it's a little dicey because it's a very message focused driven art form.
Totally.
But for me, it was like, when I first discovered hip hop, I was hearing all these records that my dad used to listen to. And I was like, whoa, how'd that get in there? So that became pretty interesting to me, because that showed a different relationship with music, and it showed that one song can mean so many other things. Like Riz is out here chopping up old love ballads and turning them into crack songs and shit. Like, that's sick to me. You hear all the P-Funk stuff on the West Coast stuff, and and it's you can transform these energies, and that's really cool. That's very hippie sounding of me. I'm
Yeah.
not in a sarong right now in a Grateful Dead shirt,
Hey,
but
everybody's
yeah,
got
like,
crystals behind them right now.
dude, hell yeah, just hanging in the studio. Got
Nah.
one in my ass right now too, Ashanti.
That's lightly believable. No, I totally agree with you, man. I, for when people turn in records to me, it's feeling
Yeah.
first. I'm not even listening to what they're saying at first. It's more about how this feels, right? Does it
Yeah,
feel
yeah, yeah.
brown to me, or does it feel blue to me, or what is it feeling like? You know what I'm
Yep.
saying?
Does it have weight? Does it?
Yeah,
I'm the same way. I can hear something almost immediately, which is, I think, really frustrates like producers, which is primarily why I do a lot of my own production
yeah,
and have just folders and folders and folders of beats that I'm never going to touch just
right,
because they didn't have the weight.
right.
But I just, if it doesn't hit me in the first like 5 to 10 seconds,
Yeah, it's not
it
gonna.
never will.
Yeah,
And I don't do loops very well. So
yeah.
like, I remember talking with Evidence. We were in Europe, and this was kind of like at the peak, not at the peak, but as I was starting to climb this mountain of like, okay, I want my music to be a bit more complex.
Hmm.
Um, and we were in Europe, and he's like, Grieves, you can rap, and you got like this cool voice. We gotta get you on some like 1 bar loop shit. And I was like, dude, if you put me on a 1 bar loop beat, I'm gonna give you 1 bar.
1 bar.
Like, that's about all I got. Because I've like trained my brain now to like, as I write, to progress with the song. So I do
Right.
like 4 bar segments of 4 bar loops and 4 bar segments.
Got you.
And who knows, by the end of this, I might be doing 32 bar segments. And who fucking knows? But yeah, but not to take anything away from the 1 bar loop stuff. I listen to an Evidence song and I'm locked in, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I just don't really have the ability to create something with that weight to that.
Right.
But he does.
Right.
So, him and Alchemist and all those cats and the whole thing that they kind of got going on right now,
Yeah.
it's like a resurgence of that era and that style of music. And I saw Planet Asia drop, and I was like, man, I haven't seen this dude in fucking ever, which is sick, because he's got that. He can do that too.
Yeah. Yeah, Ev told me, Ev was like, yo, I'm going to do this thing. So he started Bigger Picture Recordings.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I'm on the mailing list.
Yeah. And he was like, yo, here's what I'm planning to do, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, this is perfect for you, man. He's just been like able to ride this just like yourself. Like yourself, just been able to just, you know what I mean? Not taking away the fucking work y'all motherfuckers put in. Don't get me wrong, y'all. Like,
it's just a different version of the work.
Yeah,
you know.
But like, it's been pretty amazing. Dropping back to your like overall story, how did you end up signing with Rhymesayers?
It's interesting. I hate to be one of those people that it's like, it's all about who you know, but I mean, it is. You don't get the job without applying, right?
Yeah,
so, and you don't just apply to any job. If you don't have the skill set, that's something I've noticed. But we can get into that later. I'll try to make this as short as possible. I discovered Rhymesayers, and that was another part of redefining what I thought something was capable of. I'm listening to Mobb Deep. I'm listening to Cormega. I'm listening to some Cuddy East Coast cut you with a box cutter music. There's not a lot I can contribute to that world.
Right.
I do. I love it. But you're not going to catch me out there making that kind of music. I make a lot of those beats, but back then it was just like, how is that? No connections. And if I'm the one making the music, it doesn't really add up to have that. So, I found Rhymesayers and I was like, oh shit, like I love these beats. They have the weight, very melodic. It's tying me back into that Carole King feeling where it's like, oh, it doesn't have to be hard to be strong.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard a lot of that stuff, and it kind of changed me and opened up my view on things. So definitely a fan, right?
Yeah.
Listened for a long time. Uh, Found out there were some Rhymesayer dudes in Seattle. Shout out my boys Gray Skull, Henri, and
Mm-hmm.
JFK.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they were kind of like big talk of the town, and of course the Boom Bap Project, Jake One, Vitamin D, all those dudes. There was like a little satellite thing of Rhymesayers going on here, and that was really cool to see because I was like, oh damn, well maybe one day I'll get to meet those dudes, but not just putting myself in the room with them and forcing this interaction. It was just like, well, let's get to work, and hopefully I could catch up,
Yeah.
um, and I did, but not really in the way that I thought I would. I met Henri in Portland. We played a show in front of nobody, but he was there. He was like the only one there.
Mm-hmm.
Reached out. He knew we had a studio in Seattle. Started working on some of the JFK stuff, recording him and producing beats for him. And then something had happened. They didn't have a setup for. They were going on tour with Atmosphere to support their record Bloody Radio that just came out,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't have a DJ or just kind of any help. And they brought it up and talked to me and asked me if I'd be interested in joining them. And, I immediately jumped on it, just wrangled up every last dollar that we had. My manager at the time, Matt, he threw some money at it too.
Shout
We
out to Matt.
negotiated with Rhymesayers to a degree because at this point it was like, okay, they do need us to go, but I'm not a DJ.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we want our name on the website, and as much of the the flyering as possible. And then, if I'm DJing, I just want a verse a night.
Yeah.
And then it turned out like, oh, I got a DJ for you're lucky. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now, Mac Lethal's in the van, Lucky's in the van, da 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 da. And I was like, man, if I'm providing services, so are you.
Yeah.
So, that's how I met Mac and started rapping with him. And I met Jaybird on that tour.
Mm-hmm.
I remember playing like a Warner Brothers showcase in Baltimore, um, at the Rams Head or something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
he came up to me afterwards and he's like, "Why are people asking me who the fuck you are?" And I was like, "Damn, that's intimidating." And I guess I don't know if it was Warner or what, but some people were asking who I was. Um, so I went through that tour. I made sure that I spent, I printed up 10,000 demos of the record that was out that had just dropped, Irreversible. This is
Mm-hmm.
2007.
Yep.
I knew I wasn't going to get anybody to buy it. So I put what I thought were like the 4 strongest songs of the record.
Mm-hmm.
And I printed 10,000 CDs and I just handed them all out. I had
Yeah.
10,000 conversations on that tour. I wasn't standing at the door winging CDs at people.
Right.
I wore bright clothes so people who knew who I was once I got in the crowd. It was very thought out.
Yeah.
I look back in the pictures and I want to cringe, but like, I would buy, like I had like a bright red and yellow and blue stripe, like looking like Freddy Krueger LRG hoodie. I had bandanas with animal mouths on them and shit. Like I was standing out. And so when I got into the crowd, people were like, oh shit. And then, have a conversation, give them a CD, and hope it translates. And it did, which was great.
That's what's
Um,
up.
Started running with Mac afterwards because that's where I came from, right? Like it was the indie spirit. No one was knocking on my door. And Mac was like, yo, let me help develop you. He put me on every tour. We ran around for a while. Long story short, he wanted me to sign some papers that didn't make a lot of sense. So I didn't sign those papers. It upset him quite a bit. Um, but I'm proud of myself because that was a really bad idea.
Gotcha.
So I didn't do that. But that made him upset. He said some pretty mean things and was real public about it. And then I had people like Sage Francis had said some stuff, and some other people were saying things, and it was like, man, none of y'all know me. I'm advocating for myself. I've never done anything wrong. I never took a dime from Mac. Paid my own way through this whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
and it felt bad. And The only person that seemed to care was POS.
Yeah.
So I called him up and we talked for a while, and I was discouraged because I felt like I had given so much of myself to something. It just and it felt bad to piss so many people off over nothing.
Right.
And so I was talking with him, and I kind of wanted to quit because I was like, this feels bad. This doesn't feel good. This is not why I wanted to do
Yeah,
this.
you're like,
And
this is what music is? Like,
if
what?
this is the
Yeah.
beginning of it, like, like it has to get worse, right?
Right.
And he's like, look, you're entitled to do whatever you want. I think you're dope. I think you should like it's hard when these storms happen because you're in a storm, right? But everything dries out eventually and the sun comes out and all these things. And I just don't think that you should quit before you talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And so he patched me in with Sadiq.
Mm.
And Sadiq and we talked for a long time. I was living in New York at the time, and we talked for months, maybe
Mhm.
2 months. I used to go up on my roof. I have this very like visual memory of it, of me sitting up there in the evenings talking with Sadiq, and me being pretty frustrated with my current situation, and trying to figure out how to get some control back and all that stuff. And
Mhm.
uh, eventually he was like, you could do that, you could do this. This is back when, like, you remember Koch Distribution?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So they were a big part of why I walked away, because they wanted me to sign a distro contract with Mac's label, but I didn't have a contract with Mac, and all the money would go to Mac, but there's no saying that it was just
Right.
bad
It's kind of,
business.
yeah, bad business.
And then Koch reached out to me independently and was like, do you want to do this? And I was like, that's bad business too.
Yeah.
And so I felt bad, and but also like, should I do this? Do I take this distribution deal? That's how I get my music heard. This is back when people were selling records, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
if you wanted to be in the store, because we didn't have the other shit, if you want to
Right.
be in the store, you had to sign these distro deals, and Koch was a big one at that time, or an accessible one.
Right. Right.
And Sadiq was like, yeah, you could do all that, you could try all that, or I could put your records out. And I remember like covering up the the microphone hole on my flip phone and just being like, fuck shit, and being like, yeah, I mean, we could talk about it. And and then from that point forward, we just went through contract stuff, and I learned a lot over there.
Let's get into that. What are some of the lessons you think you got from that, or any memorable experiences from that?
So my intention in this business has always been to be a part of it, not to
Yeah.
ride it, right?
Right.
A lot of people, the majority of people, expect the door to open, them to walk through it, them to be showered in everything that they've ever wanted, and for them to stay as long as they want until they leave. And it crushes spirits. It turns people into drug addicts. It fucks them up, and it chews them up, and it spits them out the back door, and it never lets them back in.
Yeah.
That is something I've learned, in my experience.
Obviously.
But I didn't know that then. But how can I be a part of something if I don't understand it? So
Yeah.
when I signed, I didn't take any of the extras. I was like, I don't want a merch deal. I don't want management. I have management. I trust them. They care. I can call him at 2 a.m. and I know he's picking up the phone. And at that time, he's not focused on a bigger artist. So I'm
Mhm.
not going to take a management deal when you have Brother Ali and idea and abilities, or um, just because I'm slim pickings.
Mhm.
I'm top of the pile on my guy.
Right. Right.
Because we just signed this contract. He wants to be those people. He
Yeah.
wants me to be um, at that caliber.
Yeah.
So we kept that. We came to the table with our own agent, our own business, our own lawyer, our
Mhm.
like everything.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that helped us in that landscape, because I think it showed Sadiq, I think it showed Bird, you, and just
Mhm.
everyone there, that like, we're not here to ride the Battle King logo.
Right.
We're
Right.
we're here to do this.
And to utilize it in the proper way.
For what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I'm given half my earnings,
Yeah.
I I'm gonna work my half, and I'm gonna
Use
expect
my
you to
half.
work
Yeah.
your half. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, And so we we did that. And I learned a lot because going in, I didn't know about distribution deals. I
Hmm.
didn't know um, about anything really.
Yeah.
I knew my own experience, but like having resources of people that have built something and watched it fail and succeed, um, was very valuable as long as you were willing to listen and be humble.
Yeah.
Um, because if you were thinking you had it all figured out, and this is applicable to anything in life.
Of
If
course.
you think you got it all figured out,
You're wrong.
why are you here?
Yeah.
Yeah, why are you here?
Yeah.
We should all be learning from you if you got it all figured out. Um, so it was a library of music business knowledge over there.
Yeah.
It was slightly one-sided due to the fact that their experience is based around the success of primarily one artist.
Hmm.
So what works for one artist does not necessarily work for other artists. But
Right.
that is where you can either get frustrated or take from that what is useful,
Yeah.
and how can you mold that to work for you.
Yeah.
Um, so it was awesome. There was a lot to learn over there, and they worked me real hard. They put me on tour with Atmosphere like permanently for like several years.
Yeah.
And they know the value of that. Like we're not getting paid a lot of money to go. It's like we're not getting paid any money to do
Yeah.
those shows.
Yeah.
It's make it work, right? It's what was the payout back then? It was like 250. It was like
Yeah.
$250 a night, right?
Yeah.
And that's for everything, man. That's a
Yeah.
done deal. I remember begging Randy to stay in the day rooms from the bus, being like, "Come on, man. I don't care if it's dirty. I don't care if what happened in that room.
Yeah.
I just don't have any more money.
Yeah.
Let me stay in your dirty ass day room."
Yeah.
And he hooked it up. Let us do that. I learned a lot from Randy. I learned a lot
Yeah.
about venue etiquette. I learned a lot about load-ins, load-outs, how to talk to people, how to be easy,
Hmm.
how to show up and it do the show that you want to do, but also learn etiquette as an opener. This ain't
Man,
your
you'd
show.
be amazed. You'd be amazed at how being easy is a game changer.
It
Like the way
it's
that
one of the
people
first
treat
things I
you.
tell people. Be easy.
Woo,
Be
the way
you.
people treat you, and then they'll remember you as you come in, and it's just like butter when you show
Yeah.
up, man. The advances are easy. When you show up, it's easy. It's just you get in there and knock it out, bro. It's not some big long, you know what I mean? You get the
Dude,
wrong if you're not traveling with your own sound, you get the wrong sound on the wrong day, it could be all bad, bro.
and I mean, that's another thing, like we didn't get Randy as our sound guy as the
Hmm.
openers, right? But
Hmm.
Randy had to facilitate our bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Because we need to put stuff on the stage. We have inputs, we have
Right.
needs, and we're part of the tour, and he has to
Right.
communicate that with, let's be real, some of the grumpiest people in the
The
world are
grumpiest.
are sound guys. And the last thing that they want, especially when, big tours like that are touring with their own front of house, yeah, they're expecting to not work
To
that day.
literally not do anything.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
expecting, oh shit, I ain't got to do nothing. And then, there's a bunch of openers with wants and needs, and they don't like that shit.
Nah, not at all.
Um, so I learned how to be easy but still be me. I
Right.
learned how to have what I need for myself, but be easy. And when I build, like I help uh, younger cats and cats like starting out touring, or just people in general that want to have a better setup. I help people build their setups to just show up. It don't matter how many inputs, outputs you have. You just drop your tails to them,
Hmm.
and you're done. You will make some of the grumpiest motherfuckers in the world happy as hell if you just show up and be like, I could plug them in for you if you just I could 1-to-1
Yeah.
or like I learned that from Randy, man. I learned how to make the venue work.
Yeah.
I looked at people like James at the merch table and the back of house stuff, and I figured out how important hospitality is
Oh man.
in the venue.
James,
Um,
man, I missed that cat, man.
what a legend, dude!
That was my boy, man. I missed that cat, man. I
And none
really
of
do.
those cats are ever talking shit.
Never.
That's another thing I learned.
Yeah.
You don't show up and complain.
No.
You make it happen. I watched Randy there wasn't even a sound system. We showed up to Lubbock and there was nothing. It was like a sports bar. No one complained. I mean, I'm sure there was a little bit of, meh.
Yeah.
That's a frustrating situation to be in.
Sure.
But instead of getting back in the bus and going away and, being an asshole about it, you fix it.
Yeah.
And, I watched Randy fly a PA and get the doors open in time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a huge thing that I learned too, is like, you show up and you're working, man. You show up and you work.
You know who I watched rebuild the sound system? Paul Wickman, dude.
Paul
Wickman, dude.
Yeah. Get it, man.
I freaking Paul, he is amazing, bro. So he's tour managed for a lot of different people over the years. Big people to you name it, from Tyler, you blah, blah, blah. He used to be Ali's tour manager, which is where my connection with him was. And Paul was the corniest white dude you'll ever meet in your life. So I always ask people what keeps him grounded on the road, and I'll ask you that question as well. But Paul's was, he ran every single morning.
Yeah.
He wore a dumb cowboy hat, and he just did, but this motherfucker was no joke, man. I watched him rebuild a whole sound system to make sure that the sound, like the shit was just all fucked up. And he built it from ground up to make sure it all sounded good. And same as him, same as our boy Randy, had the doors open in time. It's pretty wild. Yeah. On that note, how different was it from when you were just doing those little tours on your own, or touring on your own, or that maybe they weren't so little, to now you're touring on a bigger kind of stage? What was the what was the main thing that you noticed that you're like, oh shit, I got to make these changes?
Fans.
Yeah.
They had fans, bro. Like it wasn't people showing up to a hip hop show. It wasn't, you got the Friday night in the college district, so there's a bunch of drunk frat boys there.
Yeah. That are trying to freestyle with you.
Bro, yes. Like whatever things we figured out before that to get people in a room. Until the Blue Scholars came along, there wasn't a local hip hop fan base in Seattle.
Gotcha.
Kids weren't coming out. You could get an opening slot for someone that had fans, a national act. Yep. And that's the only time that you got in front of fans. If you're playing all local showcases, which is common, you're playing in front of other artists. Mm-hmm. It's not the same thing. I watched, it was fans, man. It was people listening to music. It was people that had that relationship that I had with music. Staring and watching and listening and loving and dancing and singing. It was real fans.
Right.
And it was like, all right, let's get them.
Yeah.
This is who we want to play for.
Yeah.
And we're just going to keep coming back, and we're just going to keep getting as many of these fans as possible. And then we're going to turn that, we're going to tour with somebody else, and we're going to try to get in front of more fans. That's why I never really enjoyed the things like South by Southwest. Mm-hmm. It's just a really blown out version of that local showcase where you're just playing in front of people that don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And you're paying out the ass for it.
Yeah.
I stayed away from those things.
Mm-hmm.
No more of those things. Mm-hmm. Value your home court is what I learned. You play once a year. You build your fans in your city. Don't keep playing for the other rappers and your peers per se.
Yeah.
As far as the business is concerned.
Yeah.
Build your fan base in your home market, and stop being so hung up in your home market.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah. You gotta move on.
I was putting 1,500 people in a room in Minneapolis before I could put 500 people in a room in Seattle.
Right.
I don't care.
Right.
It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah. It is a business. You know what I mean? It is a business, and you got to figure out how to make the business work in order to continue to do it.
Yeah.
Quick, when you were, did you know at that time? So you're paying dues. You're on tour with the Atmosphere, and you're playing for $250 a night. Were you aware that you were paying dues for where you're at now, where you're headlining your own tours, and you have that same, bro? When I came to Denver, I was like, wow, it's still it feels like it's bigger than it was before. You know what I mean? Like,
that's a big market,
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, you still have these fans that are just so with it, bro. So with it. So
well, we still cater to that idea, right? Yeah. We still do fan-based things. Like we're
Yeah.
not. I'm not on the internet every day.
Yeah.
I'm not doing all this shit. I'm not a TikTok star. I'm not an
Yeah.
actor.
Yeah.
I don't do skits.
Yeah.
Uh, my contribution to that is events. I do
Right.
these shows. We used to go out to the merch table up until like maybe 2019. I was out there every night. I was
Yeah.
paying extra security fees to meet every single person.
Yeah.
Um, and I have a rule that it's you see venues, and I learned this from the Rhymesayers camp too, is sometimes they have posters of shows that they really liked on the wall,
Mm-hmm.
or they have a list of artists, photos and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Yep. Yep.
You want to be that.
Yep.
Those aren't always sold out shows.
Yeah.
Those are people that they really enjoy having through the venue. Those are core memories for
Right.
those places, right?
Right.
So
Exactly.
you want to show up, you want to be nice, you want to be happy. This is your job. You're happy to be here. You have one
Yeah.
of the coolest jobs in the world. Act like it.
Yeah.
You want to be fair.
Yeah.
And then you want to kill it,
Yeah.
right?
Bottom
You
line.
want to. I don't care if it's a speaker on a stick.
Yeah.
Beat that shit up.
Yeah.
Like, get your name on the t-shirt, get your name on the poster, get your name on the wall.
I mean, there's the crowd. There's the crowd that you kill for and all of that. But these cats they got 300 shows they're doing a year. Why you? Why are they going to pay attention to you? You know what I mean? Like, that's a big part of it.
Because when you show up, how you are, how you act, how you leave your impression, and how you leave the place.
Yep.
On those, like when we first started headlining, I made everybody clean the green room afterwards.
Yeah.
I was like, just put everything in the trash. You don't got to scrub shit down or nothing like that, but leave this place clean. If something's broke, try to fix it. Be mindful. It's crazy how far that will go.
Yeah.
Like, just treat it like it's your homie's house.
Yeah. Or not like it's your homie's house, because some people be hating on their homies and be fucking their shit up. Treat it like
if you're
it's
a
your
good
auntie's
homie.
house. Yeah.
There you go. Treat it like it's your auntie's house. I get made fun of, but like I've fixed like doorknobs and shit in green rooms. Like, I want to leave that place and make people remember that we love this.
Yeah. How are you still bumping? How are you still? Because longevity is hard. Yeah, longevity is hard.
I don't give a lot of effort into it now these days, which I definitely need to change. I just have a call later today with someone that like wants to help me with my social media stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like I was saying, we used to stand out there for hours after the show, and that's the only time that we would piss people off in the venue. We would have to pay extra fees, right? Security's grumpy, because I would sit there and I would not only just shake hands, take a picture, but I have full-on conversations with anybody that would wait in line for however long they wanted.
Right.
And I did that for 10 years.
Yeah.
And I didn't think anything of it. I knew it was important. I knew it boosted merch sales, just from the business side, but I also knew that it was making connections with people, because the music is doing something, right?
Yeah.
When that record came out, when Together Apart came out, something happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first record that I made with the intention to just like, okay, I signed a deal, right? My first record deal ever, my only record deal ever. They need a record. Boom. And I sat down and wrote a record, bro. It wasn't like a bunch of songs that I had.
Right.
I sat down and I wrote a record.
Yeah.
And however, wherever I was emotionally and mentally at that time, it did something, man.
Yeah.
That music resonated. I listened back to that record and I'm like, some of this is kind of corny. I get why. I remember I got my fader write-up, Pitchfork.
Yeah.
Pitchfork review. And the dude, it's like he didn't even listen to my music. He just shit on me, man. He looked at a picture of me and was like, I'm gonna break this bitch down into 9 different pieces. I'm gonna break him down into a combo meal and serve him up. And he did, dude. And I remember I was pissed and I reached out to him on Twitter. I was like, what the fuck? And he's like, oh, you don't like it? I was like, fuck you. I was like, you live in New York. I live in New York. I hope I see you. And he's like, oh, yeah.
That's amazing.
I was like, man, you didn't even listen to the record. He's like, fuck your record. I was like, all right, fair enough. And then I realized I'm not making music. It took me a while, but I'm not making music for them. I've never really made music that I think is industry standard. I've never gotten big placements. I've never gotten, any major breakout success, but I have a very steady, consistent grind of music that relates with normal people.
Yeah.
Now, is that going to be background in your gym? Hell no.
No. I mean, but this is like, you got to, bro, I was, once again, bro, shout out to you. Kudos to you. I showed up and was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh shit. This motherfucker's still out here cracking, bro. Like, oh
yeah,
shit.
And they're singing those songs. I haven't put a record out since 2019, dude.
Yeah. That shit was tripping me out, dude. I was like, damn. And the fans were cool. I mean, let's be real. I'm an asshole when it comes to this shit. I've been around it forever. I've been doing it for a long time, and I'll be hating on everything.
Yeah.
And I walked in ready to hate on every fan in there, and I was like, nah, these people are chill. I can't even hate on them like
let's
that.
Let's see Vanilla Ice Cream embodied in a rap show tonight.
And I was like, yo, this is dope, man. I was just excited to be there. Thanks for having me coming out too.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was great to see. So you're touring. Like, how much are you touring now? I mean, you seem to be touring a decent amount these days.
So my focus is and this is kind of weird, but I'm gonna say it anyways.
Yeah.
I was working at a venue that was also a recording studio for a while, which put me around younger people. And I don't mean this in a creepy way. I just mean like, I don't kick it with 23-year-olds, right? Like, we don't have anything in common. I don't go to the same bar, like I drink at the old dude bar now. I'm 40. Like, if there's not like a half broken TV and like peanuts, I'm probably not there.
Out.
Yeah. So I hadn't really been around like younger people like that. Right. Like, like my fans and stuff like that. But, I'm not around them for 8 hours a day or something like that.
Yeah.
And that was something I got into during COVID, and, I missed music. So when they offered me the position, I was like, yeah, this sounds cool. And I got free studio time in this wonderful studio that I got to run and operate. And
that's great.
But I remember, I don't know what I was wearing, but one of the kids was like, oh, it's kind of Y2K of you. I was like, huh? What'd you say? And she's like, Y2K. And I was like the thing where everyone thought the world was going to shut down? She was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, Y2K was a moment in time.
It was a whole fucking thing, bro.
Yeah, where everyone, the clock was going to reset. I was high on acid. I broke into a pawn shop and stole a fucking Fender Squire bass. I put my whole life in line to steal a $100 bass guitar.
A fucking Chinese bass guitar.
Dude. Piece of shit guitar, high on acid, thinking the security cameras, nothing's gonna work. And she was like, what the hell? No, it's a fashion thing.
Yeah.
Like, calling back to that time. And I was like, oh, and then I started paying attention. It's like, oh, everything from that is cool now. And like, even sound, you listen to music. Now we want that, what we've spent so long getting away from, we want that low fidelity.
Yeah.
It's to the point, lo-fi, that it's one of the most popular streamed genres.
Sure is.
It's crazy. If you want to print millions of streams, like that is a place to go.
Sure is.
And I'm like, whoa. Why are we going back to these old methods, right?
Yeah.
To yield new success.
Right.
And I was like, that's because that's what time does. It's like it's
circular.
It's
all
like
the time,
dough,
bro.
man. It like flips over on itself. So I'm trying to put myself back in that mind state of when I started.
Yeah.
And there's a few things that I want to do, and that's, let's get those fans.
Yeah.
Let's work with other artists that have different fans, but yet similar, right?
Similar, yeah.
Will my weight work with them?
Yeah.
so I'm doing more support tours where for 10 years I wasn't doing any
Right.
support tours,
Right.
because the money's not there.
Yeah.
But that's a short-sighted way to look at things.
But also you kind of glossing over the fact that you could do headlining tours, that's not easy, bro. I don't think
No,
people realize how hard it is to do a headlining tour because yeah, you might have two markets or you might have 500 people show up or 300 people show up.
yeah,
I mean, every artist that I've worked with, when they're brand new, if I'm working with them brand new, they're
it's
always
so
like,
hard
"I
to
want to
break
get on
in.
the road," and I'm like, "Cool, who's gonna buy your tickets?"
I'm I have had this conversation this week.
Who's gonna buy your
Uh,
tickets?
yeah, it's not. People just don't understand. Here's the other thing. I know cats that have millions of monthly listeners and
Yo,
can't put 100
can't
people in
sell
the
a
room.
fucking. This
Can't
doesn't.
sell a ticket to save their life. And that is something that I realized doesn't correlate.
No,
I mean, it does to a degree,
to a
right? And
degree. To a
it's
degree.
something you can use to sell yourself.
Yep,
It's
for
something
sure.
you can use to get agents and all that stuff. But it doesn't always work. And then that is calling back to, well, what used to work?
Hmm.
How do we get people back in the room? You know, and then I was like, what was really inspiring for me back then? And it was
Hmm.
like tapping in with my community, working
Yeah.
with people that, experiencing new things musically. And like, so that's been a huge part for me. Like the music that I'm working on with like some younger cats to see
Hmm.
like, but they're not rap producers. They're like music majors and shit,
Right.
you know?
Right. Got you.
So
That's dope.
like we're doing some interesting stuff. I want to play in front of different fan bases. So, I'm trying to at least do like one or two of these like reggae shows or
Hmm.
reggae tours a
Hmm.
year,
Hmm.
um, because those seem to be working really well with
There's
what I
there's
do.
money in it right now, man.
Oh, it's
It's a
printing
lot of
money,
money in it.
but
Yeah.
more so, it's adding to the fan base that I have, right? So let's talk Denver. Um, Big market for me, always has been. Generally, for most artists, Denver is a massive music city. It is, before you're looking at LA and New York, you should try to lock down Denver. If I got to be honest, like,
Exactly. Yeah.
because
Not totally.
LA and New York isn't a fan city. That's an industry city.
Yeah.
Industry people want guest list. They drink your green room dry. They don't call you back. It's fuck it, right?
Yeah. Right.
Um, it's places like Denver, Minneapolis, um, Chicago, Salt Lake City is a big one for me. Who would have thought? Um, it's New Mexico, dude. Albuquerque, super big hip hop town. It's finding where fans are. It's finding where your fans are
Yeah.
and catering to it. The difference about Denver is your fans are there.
Yeah.
Most likely,
Yeah.
your fans are in Denver.
More than
Um,
likely.
it's
Yeah.
it's a highly coveted and celebrated music city.
Yeah.
Um, so let's look at that. I'm gonna make more money putting 100 people in a room as a headliner than
Yeah.
being an opener for someone that puts 1,500 people in a room.
1,000%.
I'm gonna do it, right? I'm gonna make more money as the 100 people in the room. But how do I grow that? How do I grow the 100 to 200 to 300? Because next time it might be 90 people, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
It doesn't grow. Sure, you put on a great show, hopefully 100% of those people come back. And we
Yeah.
know that that is
That's
not the
not
truth,
realistic.
right?
Yeah.
Because most of the time there's tag-alongs,
Yeah.
there's other people, there's like people giving you a shot and that
Yeah.
didn't like it. There
Yeah.
that shit happens a lot. Um, let's be more realistic and say 50%, right?
Right.
So let's say you played, 100 people showed up, you should expect 50 people to
Yeah.
show up next time.
Yeah.
You should be confident that 50 people will show up. You hope for 100. But how do you build that more? You eat a little shit. You go on tour with other people. You try to break out into some different fan bases that aren't too far away from what you're doing.
Hmm.
Because the other thing about a fan base is their community.
Yep.
So you don't want to, you don't want it to be so incredibly different.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's not going to be like Wu-Tang fans and hardcore death metal fans in the same room. That shit don't really work all the time. So
I don't know if
it's
you
just trying
heard.
to.
I don't mean to cut you. I don't know if you heard the first episode yet, but I was talking to Raka, and he was talking about how they were playing this massive fucking festival in
Was it like a
Poland.
rock festival?
It was in Poland. It was a rock festival, and they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna put you on the main stage." He's like, "No, no, no, no! I thought we were gonna." He's like trying to talk him in.
Put me
You
on a
sure?
little one.
Yeah, you sure?
Yeah.
It's like, the DJ tent. We'll just do that. And you're like, no, no, no.
I play the parking lot.
Yeah. And he said it worked out, but yeah, he was like, "Fucking."
Those are scary moments.
Yeah, they were.
Those are scary moments, man.
Yeah.
I toured with T-Pain, and I was like, "What am I fucking doing here, bro? What am I doing here?" That shit was out of pocket. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done was tour with T-Pain.
Oh
the
my
Warped
God.
Tour was easier than touring
Yeah.
with T-Pain.
Yeah.
That was crazy. So it's like, yeah, finding those people, bringing it back, and just remembering the things that I did back then built a foundation that still exists.
Yeah.
Because we built it right.
Yeah.
So let's stop focusing so much on all this new stuff, like, because you start poking holes in your house that was already fine, you might fuck around and get some problems,
Yeah.
right? So
Totally.
it's more about figuring out how to strengthen the thing that we've already built and maintain. I
Yeah.
know that I'm not going to be some big, huge breakout. I'm never going to have my Macklemore money.
Yeah.
I'm never going to have a $60,000 car
Right.
or a brand new built house or anything like that. Like, I know my place in this. I just want to make sure that I can continue to do things the way that I want to do,
Mhm.
provide for my family.
Mhm.
And if I can't, then I'll just go get a job and I'll tour whenever I can.
Mhm.
But I want to be able to make this music the way that I want. And I will adjust to this modern landscape. I will do
Mhm.
that. I do realize that this is the way that people consume music now.
Yep. Yep.
So I'm going to do that. But
What is
why
what
are all
is-
these new cats reaching out to me to ask me how to tour?
Yeah. So let's yeah. What's Grieves' job in the world? I feel like you're a landscaper, shirt off.
Dude, you should see me mow my lawn, bro. Like a lobster with some boots on.
I feel like you're a landscaper, shirts off. I could see you as a bar owner, probably something like that.
Yeah,
Sure.
I could do that. I was doing like production management for a little bit, like post COVID, but that was just like some, just to kill some time and be around music again. And but I don't know if that's me. I wouldn't. I don't want to be dealing with other people's shit, But I have always said I want a life in music, right? So I don't have to be the one on stage or whatever. Like if I could contribute to other people's music or be around it, or in a position, if I gotta go work for Amazon in the Amazon music department,
I think
that's what I gotta do.
I think you're set up, bro. I mean, I was talked to Raka about this. It's funny who I've aligned myself with them. It makes sense. I mean, being a manager, you tend to spend more time around artists that have those qualities. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and of course you're around all managers. So I'm just thinking about the people who are even, guests on the show. For now, they're generally people that are either artists that managed or was an agent or do that kind of work, or they're people that are on the management side. But I mean, I think you got plenty. This will always be your life. As much as I tried to leave this shit.
Yeah, man. I know. I know that shit. I know that hustle.
Here I am, bro.
Sometimes I get so unhappy because of the hustle, and I'm like, man, I just like don't have it anymore.
Yeah.
Right. Like not the ability to make music, but just the hustle for this business is like, and then I was like, I ain't really hustling that hard. You did your hustling, and now you're like
you gotta look up and be like, man, shit's kind of fly, bro. Like, I'm gonna chill out here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
man.
Yeah.
It's like touring. When I had my son, I was like, oh nope, that's it. I'm not. I don't want to be away.
Yeah.
This is the first person I ever met that has the same blood as me.
Yeah.
I want to be there always. I want to look in your eyes every day. I want to be there always.
Yeah.
And then I realized this job allows me to do that. Yeah, I gotta be away. I gotta be away for a month or even 2. But then I'm home for 10.
Right.
So it's like overall I get more time with my son,
Yeah.
and I know people everywhere.
Yeah.
So that's another cool thing is like, let's travel. All
Yeah.
right, I'm gonna go. Okay, I'm gonna go tour Australia.
Yep.
Come meet me after the shows, and
Yep.
let's go stay on an island or go. I
Yep.
got a homie here. I got a homie in the
Yeah.
mountains. Got a homie.
I
Like,
mean,
let's go.
that's the best, man. All the people you meet, all the people along the way, all the funny stories. I mean, it's kind of the best. A big, something I haven't touched on yet on the show too either is like having a spouse that really understands
Yeah,
what all that means is crazy. I mean, I'm technically out of the hardcore day-to-day management side, and I'm obviously founded Turnwheel, and that's my day-to-day now.
yeah.
But
Which
I
is
feel
very
like
inspiring, by the way.
I
That's
appreciate it.
something of like taking shit that you've been doing and reinventing it and like building something really positive for yourself. Is like,
Yeah.
oh, see, there's more than just these things that have always been in front of us.
Right.
It's really inspiring what
I
you're doing.
appreciate it. But I'm realizing this shit got me traveling more than more than
Oh
I
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
you're a businessman.
I'm like, oh my God. I'm like all over the fucking place. And it's great. I mean, I got a great spouse. I mean, when I'm like, I gotta leave tomorrow. I'll be
Yep,
back in like a few days. She's like, yeah, word up. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, no big deal. Blah, blah, blah.
yeah. My
Which
shorty's like, all right, but you're paying the extra fees of the daycare so he can stay longer. I'm like, that's fine, that's fine. I get it.
I I owe you an apology. I was in Seattle like 3 weeks ago, but I can't. So the reason why I came up there is so CEO of our company, Sherry. I needed to have some FaceTime with him, so it was like a
Mhm.
quick 24-hour hit, and I didn't want to. I didn't, it's just my bad. I
Let's be
apologize.
real.
I should
I
have at least.
probably wouldn't have come down anyways.
But I should have at least been like, yo, I'm in town. You know what I mean? But it was like
I'm just gonna see you hanging out at the Pike's Place Market taking cute photos with somebody else. All right, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it was quick. It was a quick in and out. If you give me, I'm gonna try to wrap up here, but give me some crazy shit on tour. You got some crazy stories, but give me like one or two, like pretty funny or crazy or whatever they are.
Crazy, funny. I mean, every day is, it's not the answer you want, but every day is pretty crazy and funny. Touring is really fun.
Yeah,
As hard as it is, like touring is a really fun job, and you're around some pretty interesting characters a lot of the time, and you find yourself in
you
precarious
mean like Dan
situations.
or?
Yeah, yeah, like Danny, he's a pretty interesting guy. Like, so weird, like in any other situation, would I be rolling around with that dude?
There's no
Like,
possible way,
yeah,
dog.
dude, like the music is tight the way that works out.
For sure.
I think about it, it's like something crazy happened was like driving through a blizzard or something. Like it's like pretty tame these days. I've
Yeah.
done shit that I probably don't want to talk about
Yeah, that don't worry about that
on
part.
here.
Don't worry about that part.
Back in like the party day. Nothing that's like, morally wrong or nothing, but just
Yeah.
like, I've done some
I,
drunk crazy shit with some drunk crazy assholes.
yeah. I mean, I think that people, I'm trying to, a big part of this also is to just like open up the mystique of touring, not only for people who are on the side that are touring, but the people that actually go to the shows as well. And I think one thing I talked about in one episode was the fact that, man, sometimes right after shows, it's just eating sandwiches in hotel rooms, man. It's just not that exciting.
Dude, yeah.
I mean?
I've told cats where they're like, what's it like? I was like, all right, first thing you do when you wake up, go sit in your closet for 7 hours.
That's exactly
Go
what
sit in your closet for 7 hours.
Yeah.
And don't do shit. Maybe eat a bag of chips.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that is primarily your day on tour.
And then go time. And then, go
and then
time.
pretend like you didn't just do that and like turn the charm on.
Yeah.
That's another thing. There's no bad days on tour, right? And I
Yeah.
don't mean that there aren't. There most definitely are.
Yeah.
People don't want to hear it. They don't
Yeah.
care. When you show up, people paid for an experience. They want their experience, and I understand that.
Yeah.
That's a huge part of touring. It's a huge part of why people are on drugs and alcohol and stuff, is to eliminate the day you just had.
Yeah. I mean, I've said this before, like there's two sides to it. There's the side of I went and this is my day, man. This is my one time, bro. I get to see this person I love, all that. Then there's the side of we did this 34 other times right before this. We're here to work. we're here for work. And that's all gonna kind of meld together. So I don't think people
Yep.
realize how hard it is to put on the party without actually being the party. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
without
man.
partying.
You can't party every night.
No,
That's
it's
not a thing you
impossible.
can do.
Yeah.
I remember I showed up, it was somewhere in Colorado. I have this very like strong memory of like getting out of the van, and there were some people that were waiting there for us to get there. They
Mm-hmm.
were like fans or something like that. We had a long day driving through the mountains and tired. Everyone's still in sweatpants. Like no one's put together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, breath all musty and shit. Like, and they were in show mode,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they like we had to load in. I think we were late. Like there's just like a lot of things, and like no one was in the mood.
Yeah.
And everyone, super like everyone's
Yeah.
cordial. Everyone's like, yeah, what up? Like, can't do this right now. Like,
Right.
gotta go in, gotta do this, and then disappeared. Didn't come
Yeah.
back out.
Yeah.
Just went to work.
Yeah.
Uh, went straight to Twitter where people go to complain, and just started talking shit. And they're like, yo, fuck that guy. Like, what an asshole. Like, you can't like take any time. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure we took some time to tell you that we're not gonna kick it with you. Like, we got a job to do. Like, I also like let me be a human.
Yeah.
When doors are open, I'll be that
I'm ready.
party.
Yeah, I'm
But
ready
like,
for you. Yeah.
come on, man. Like I'm in my sweatpants. Like I haven't showered yet. I just don't feel I haven't even talked to these fucking guys, and I've been in the damn van with them all day. Like,
Yeah.
let me just chill for a second. It didn't say that to him, but it
Right.
was like people don't understand that. And I get it.
Yeah.
But that is a hard part. So if you see people that seem like they're struggling, like on the tours and shit, like take into account that like they might be struggling with their own identity, like
Yeah.
trying to figure out like is the real me even valuable? Because a lot of the times when you're just being your normal ass self, people get mad at you.
Right.
Like if you're walking somewhere, like you're out to dinner with your wife and your kid, and somebody comes up and interrupts your, shit and wants to take over your moment, and you just like, take a picture and okay,
Yeah.
so, thanks, man. Cheers. But like you don't want to sit and talk forever, and you're the asshole.
Yeah.
Like there's like
Yeah.
things like that, that really fuck with people because you feel like, oh, just the regular ass wake up every day me is not enough.
Yeah.
I gotta be this all the time, which I can't be because it isn't,
Yeah.
um
That'll fuck with you, man.
yeah, man. So take care of your favorite artists, man. You see them out there, allow them some humanity, shit.
I mean, I'm on the other side of it. No one knows me except for if they should. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or it could be bad if you know who
Yeah.
I am, because it means I'm fucking coming to kick you out or tell you no or some other shit.
Oh shit, he doesn't look friendly at all.
But they don't have what a manager or whatever has when you have I can smell the walk away right now. I can smell the move to this side, or the like. Do you know what I mean? Like I see what's going on right now. It's tough.
Yeah, you see an artist trying to sneak through the crowd because there's no bathroom backstage, and you immediately scream as loud as you can, "What's up, dude?" And you're like shitting your pants trying to get to the bathroom, and you just like made it so much worse. And then you follow him to the bathroom. You can't let that sucker go with that homie sitting out there.
Nah,
so now you're
possible.
pinching it off, and it's all bad. Well, just let us live, man.
Yeah. Before we get out of here, anything you want to talk about?
I've often found myself, I think most of the people listening to this are, they're listening because they know who you are, they know who I am, or they're interested in, probably what we're talking about the business and stuff like that. And you can listen to these things all day long. You can take as much knowledge and experience as you want from it. That doesn't mean it's going to work. I don't really think there's an exact answer to any of the questions you may have, unless they're very like logistical things, like, the cable goes here.
Yeah.
let art be art, man. You know, like don't you don't have to make something because you see it work.
Mhm. Mhm.
All of that at some point was something that wasn't working,
Yeah.
you know, that found its way into an audience that liked it. Um, Authenticity, um, expression, you know, understanding yourself within your own art, I think is probably the best advice I could give to anybody, you know,
Nice.
and maintaining that throughout, you know, like we talked earlier, showing up, you know, just if you like this, then fucking act like it.
Yeah.
You know, like
Straight up.
show up and be nice. Like you if you don't get to do this, you're gonna have to go do something else.
Yeah.
And are you gonna act like this when you're doing that? Hell
When you're
no.
mowing the lawn out there,
Yeah. Hell no, you're not.
when you're a fucking, when that's what you're
Yeah.
doing, shirts
Act like
off.
act like you are doing the thing that you've always wanted to do, even if it's not the way that you thought you'd be doing it.
Yeah.
Because that is how this works. You know, it's never
Yeah.
how you want it to be.
Yeah.
Um, but you can find yourself in situations that are, and that's just part of weathering this storm. That's what separates the 20-year careers with the 2-year careers.
Yeah.
Um, that's what establishes greatness. It's doing you.
Yeah.
Um, not doing what is currently working for other people. That's how you disappear.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so just, I don't know, think about that. Think about if things aren't working for you, is it everybody else keeping you from what you're looking for, or are you not really doing what you're supposed to be doing right now?
Yeah.
Um, I think that is probably the first step. And then, you know, I think opening yourself up to criticism and talking with people and understanding, like that's how I learned, man. Getting chopped down by Randy in a venue was like, instead of me being, oh fuck that guy, I was like, well, clearly I don't know what I'm doing and this is how I'm gonna learn. So like,
Yeah.
you know, you gotta be able to take that if you want to be good. um you don't necessarily have to take that when it comes down to your art,
Yeah.
but I think, you know, uh, as far as the processes of executing things that you need to do in this business, you should definitely be open for
Open.
criticism
Yeah.
because
Open ears, man.
this
It's
thing
been
is
done a
ever
couple
changing.
times. Yeah. It's been
Yeah,
done a couple
it's been
times, and
done a couple times.
it'll be done a few more times. With that said, what's like the one thing that you would leave people with?
I am stoked, man. So it's like, you know, you think about things when you're on the road and you're like, man, why has it gotta be so goddamn hard? Why is there no resources? You know, like
Yeah.
it also shows how nichey this business
Yeah.
is, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's not a lot of companies other than like Master Tour or
Yeah.
whatever, like offering anything like this. And
Yeah.
the fact that you're bringing things that, you know, I'm self-managed now.
Yeah.
So I hate closing out a tour. I hate it, dude. I hate spreadsheets. I hate all that shit. Um, you know, so and I've been looking for different things. Like I jumped around to like at venue and stuff
Mhm.
because I like the record keeping.
Mhm.
I can't figure out their bookkeeping thing for the life of me. I don't know why I'm always
Just off.
wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, my cash on hand is always I gotta if you work at venue and you are listening to this right now, will you get a hold of me and tell me why the hell that number keeps changing when ain't a damn thing happening?
Yeah.
Let me know what cash on hand really is and why I keep fucking this up because I don't understand. But you know, like that idea was like, can we just have a place? All the merch lives here. Here's all like, can I just reference these sheets instead of me making sheets every
Mhm.
day and then
Yeah.
just putting them in a Dropbox and
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
everything. You creating a touring solution that does all of that for you.
Mhm.
Um, and not only just taking what, you know, a previously existing platform has
Mhm.
and making it prettier and slightly different and better. You added things that are hard, like the finance part,
Mhm.
you know? Tour costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
Um, to headline is a lot of money if you're gonna do it right,
Yeah.
right? Like if you are really doing touring, if
Yeah.
you're just showing up with your clothes in a plastic bag, and if you're clearly winging it, then yeah, sure, you show up,
Whatever.
you spend
Yeah.
$0, you
Yeah.
can sleep in your rental car, I don't care.
Yeah.
But we don't do that,
Yeah.
like we're showing up with production, lights, we're in rental vans, we're in hotels, we're grown ass
Yeah.
men, everyone gets a bed, like this
Yeah.
is how it happens.
Yeah.
How much merch do you need for the tour?
Mhm.
Okay, there's $10,000. Do
Yeah.
you have that? Do you just
Yeah.
have 10K that
Just
you
sitting
can
around. Yeah.
hope you sell
Yeah.
in t-shirts to
Hope you get
bring
it
back?
back. Yeah.
Like it's a lot of money down. Like it's $20,000-$30,000 before you even hit the road.
Yeah.
And we're floating that on cards, right?
Yep. Yep.
We're turning that into airline miles so that it loosens our impact for the next one or something
Yeah.
like that. We're
Yeah.
doing it on gas cards. We're doing all this
Yeah.
shit to try to figure it out. But you figured out a way to you get all your deposits, everything, because normally your agents are getting your deposits,
Yeah.
they're collecting interest on it,
Yeah.
that's sitting there.
Yeah.
You have figured out a way to, or not figured out a way, but you've proposed a way that's like, can we just make all this money work for the artist? Like,
Yeah, right
can't
away.
the deposit money just work for
Go
them
straight to
now
them. Yep.
instead of the agent holding on to it as payment at the end? Like,
You know
let's
how it
pay
is
the
when you
agent at
start
the
to
end, man.
when you start to make those next inroads from like you're playing like a $10,000 show or two to $5,000 now and all that. Well, yeah, it's going to cost more to tour, so we need that money up front. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you're
Like, just
holding
give me
5
the money.
racks for and you're
What are
holding
you
5
doing?
racks for 3 months
Yeah,
for
like,
me
what are you doing?
on one show. Like that's my VIP material,
Yep.
right? Like
Yeah.
that's the posters and the laminates
Yeah.
and the merch item, that's hotel money.
Yeah.
That's that's me not having to risk my credit
Yeah.
by
To like,
floating.
yeah. Yeah.
I put it all on the card, but then I pay it back with my advance, right?
Right.
That'd be great. So allowing artists to do that
Yeah.
not only gives them control of having everything in one space,
Yeah.
but let's be real. You know what no one ever talks about on these podcasts or Instagram videos is finances, man.
Yeah, man.
No one ever sits an artist down and tells them how to manage their money or how much money these things are going to cost,
It's
or
expensive.
how you could do it better, or like anything. There are no financial services for artists. You just
Yeah.
got to find an accountant or a CPA
Yeah.
that is familiar with the way this works. And that's
Yeah.
normally coming through your lawyer. So
Yeah.
now you're spending even more money. Like, why is there no financial resources for people that are making a shit load of
Right.
money? It's crazy to me.
That's why it was
That's
a big,
what I would do
That's
if
why
I
it
had.
was- that's why it
Let's
was
start a
big-
new business.
So it was a big deal for me to. A big part of it was a lot of artists would be like, "Oh, I want to go do this," and I'd have to put together something to show them how to do it, to show them how much it would actually cost or whatever the case is. Now this is all here, baby. You can see all
Yeah.
the numbers. You can see what's up. And I'm excited for, we're in Turnwell Beta right now. Turnwell Beta is pretty much done. We are now, we're about to move into the alpha phase where we're issuing cards and all of that. So people can actually use everything's in our system. When they go out and they need to spend to get something, it goes against their budget,
Dude, you're
blah,
just
blah, blah.
spending your tour revenue
Yep.
there. So when you
Yep.
settle at the end and be like, there's my green,
There's
man.
my actual money, right? That's
Yeah.
exactly what I said I was going to take home. If I keep to this budget, that's exactly what I'm going to take home.
And that's another part, man.
Yeah.
Budgeting is a huge part of touring.
Yeah.
It's a massive part of touring.
Yeah. A lot of
And
people just
people
get
don't
out there and
understand
go and don't really think about the, I mean,
Yeah.
and then of course I built it for like the large, for you. You're already ready
Yeah.
to go. Like, what's up. Like now you have a place where everything lives. You can hit one button and settle out. And then on top of it,
I love that.
yeah. And then on top of it, you can refer back to all this shit. You know what I mean? Like everything's there for you. But yeah.
And now, like, the next step is getting, I think any artist is going to be like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
It's getting everyone else to participate, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
maybe that's what this podcast is for, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
For people to know that, like, artists want this.
Yeah.
Artists want ease, man.
Yeah.
Like, beyond like the settling and the finances and stuff, like, look, shit is chaotic, man. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know where I am most of the time. And I just like, it's nice to have everything laid out. I could click a little button. It's like, all right, there's the directions to the hotel.
Yeah.
Here's this, boom, boom, boom. Like, is
Yeah.
there anything to eat around here? Like,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
hotels are getting more expensive.
Yeah.
Finding places is frustrating. It takes me weeks
Yeah.
to book accommodations
Right.
for tours.
Right.
Best prices on rental vans.
Yeah.
Come on, man. It's like whatever Bandigo says you're
Right.
gonna pay is what you're fucking paying.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
because you can't rent like a real tour vehicle from like Budget or anything
No,
like
it's
that.
not
And if you go
it's
and buy
impossible.
one, you're a
Yeah.
fucking fool, because now you're just like you're risking your show
Yeah.
on your own vehicle.
Yeah.
If you rent, you know, there's some liability there, right?
Yeah.
And you get a new vehicle, expenses that you incur were going to be covered by somebody else.
Exactly.
You shouldn't, you know, put that liability on somebody else.
Right.
But you know, having access to those resources is like, it's hard, man. That's the majority of the phone calls I get today are like
Yeah.
these younger artists just being like, where do I go for this?
Yeah.
Who does this? Do
Yeah.
you know any tour managers that aren't fucking $300 a day?
Right.
Do you know this?
Right.
Do you know that? How do
Right.
I get lights?
Right.
You know, but can you build me an in-ear rig? What is
Yeah.
this? What is that?
Yeah.
It's, you know, resources. And
Yeah.
you've created an app that once all those things are put together, everything is working. You can just tour, man. You
Yeah.
can just go on tour.
That's the
and
point.
you can just click and go, man.
That's the point.
But you get it.
Yeah, 1,000%.
That's the thing.
1,000%. I'm from that world, so that's why we're here right now. Yo, I will see you soon for sure. I really appreciate you jumping on the show, bro. I will talk to you soon, my friend.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right, appreciate you, bro.
Cheers, brother.
Yeah. And that's a wrap for today's episode of The Loadout. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcast platform. Follow me on social media at Probably Ashanti or at Turnwell on all platforms. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, keep buying those tickets. Peace.